The end is near, but it's not that deep. We're just talking about the end of the year. 2021 is wrapping up. We have about 4 weeks left, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have each and every one of you, whenever it is, wherever you are. Thanks for stopping by. This is our tag time, where we typically talk to our 6th to 12th graders, youth ministry, out of Faith Family Church. But if you don't fit in that category, we welcome you anyway, as long as you're here to hear, as long as you're here to hear God's word. This is the right place and this is the right time. Like I said in the beginning, we want to talk about the end of the year coming up. There's a couple announcements I want to give you at the end, so I hope I don't forget. Try to remind me, and I'll bring those up at the end. But we want to get into the word that God has for us. So we are going to talk about Christmas coming up, but this is the first Sunday of the month when we're putting this video out, and so we have this 4 weeks left to the end of the year. And I think I brought it to my heart, something important for us to do, and that is to pay attention and look where we are. Find out what's going on right now before this year is over. Typically at the beginning of the year, we talk about setting goals and things that we want to do a little bit different in the coming year than we did in the last year. And a lot of times, most people give up on their goals or their resolutions or their changes or whatever it is that you want to call them. A lot of people give those up way early in the year. But I want to serve as a reminder to you from God that it's not too late. So we have 4 more weeks in December. We also have 2 weeks that you're going to be out of school. And that is a lot of time that you can use to get closer to those goals if you really want to. So let's just take a moment and think back to the beginning of this year. Did you write any of those things down? I know if you were a part of our ministry and you did what I said, you would have written those things down, but maybe you didn't. But if you can, especially when we're done, take a minute and think back to the beginning of this year. What are the things that you wanted to get done? What are changes that you wanted to make? What did you hope to improve on? Or what did you hope to stop doing? Or maybe habits that you formed that you wanted to change, or things, heights, goals that you wanted to reach. You know, again, it's not too late to be able to achieve those goals, or at least get closer. Sometimes when we get into December, we get the feeling or have the mindset that this year is done, and we just start looking into the next year. Well, don't do that. We still have time to get God's promises for this year. There's a couple scriptures that I want to look at this week. The first is going to be in Ephesians chapter 5. And like we do, I want to give you a couple points. If you can tell me if you can tell me where Ephesians is in the Bible. Is it in the Old Testament or in the New Testament? Say it loud on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. New Testament it is. If you said the New Testament, then you're right, and you get 2 points. 2 points added to your score. Let's go over there to Ephesians. Turn, tap, swipe over there. Whatever it is that you're doing for your Bible, or whatever it is you're using for your Bible, get to Ephesians chapter 5. Remember, if you don't know exactly where the books are, there's a table of contents if you're looking in an actual Bible, or there's somewhere in an app where you can look up the different books. Sometimes it's divided by New Testament, Old Testament. Sometimes it just has them listed out in their order. Just go there and find out where the book is. Ephesians chapter 5. I want to draw your attention to a couple verses. We're going to start in verse number 16. I think we'll start in 16. It says in verse number 15. Let's start in 15 because 15 is a good verse. It says, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." See then that you walk circumspectly. That's a very important word for us. Circumspectly is an important word, and that whole verse is an important word. He's saying pay attention and make sure that you walk with purpose. Make sure that you are measuring. Make sure that you are paying attention to what's going on. A lot of times when you see the word walk in the New Testament, that's talking about the way you live, your lifestyle. So it's not just talking about, going down the street walking. It's how you live. And so he says we're supposed to live paying attention to what we're doing. It is so easy in this life to not really pay attention and just kind of go with the flow. You ever see those mice or gerbils or whatever those animals are, and they're in their little exercise wheel, and their legs are just moving like super duper fast, and that wheel is spinning, spinning, spinning. But when you back up from that, you see that they're in a cage that's like 18 inches long, and they're running their hearts out. They're getting some good lap times in, but they're not going anywhere. Their wheel is just going round and round and round, and they're staying in the same exact place. It's like we live our lives running on a treadmill sometimes, where instead of actually going somewhere, getting something done, we're just moving. We're burning energy and burning calories, but at the end of the day, we step off the treadmill in the same exact place that we stepped on. I hope that your life is not like that. And it's kind of easy when we're in school, whether it's high school, middle school, even college. It's really easy to go along with that flow, because even if you don't pay attention, you can kind of move forward. As long as you fulfill what your teachers tell you to do or instructors tell you to do, then you go from one grade to the next. So it seems like, there's a little built-in progress, and that also makes it seem like we don't really have to pay attention and walk circumspectly. We can just kind of go on. But when you get into adult world and there's no longer one grade to go to or things like that, then it's really, really, really detrimental. And we find adults that'll live 5 years, a decade, a score, 20 years, where their lives don't change that much. They didn't progress, and because they weren't moving forward, and they never got used to making themselves be productive. I don't want you to be like that. God doesn't want you to be like that. He wants you to move from glory to glory. So he says that we're supposed to walk wisely, not as fools. If we're not paying attention to what's going on, we're not measuring where we are, then that is being foolish. Don't be a fool. All right, keep reading. In verse number 16, it says, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore, be not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. We have an opportunity in these next 4 weeks to redeem the time. All right, redeeming the time is our opportunity to make sure that we don't lose this year. Don't go into 2022 just forwarding the goals or the things that you wanted to do from 2021. If you can at all get those things done, or at least get them started, so that your 2021 will be successful, you'll be so much better off for it. Again, it's really, really easy to say, oh man, this year is done. Let me get into that next thing. No, now is the time. You can put in hard, concentrated effort for the next 4 weeks and get some of those things checked off your list. And I'm excited because you really, really, really can do this. I can do this. There are some things that we can get done, and maybe, it would have been nice if we took the last 11 months to get them done, but the last 11 months is gone. Let's pump through and see what we can get done this month. All right, so as we redeem the time, we take back the time by pushing forward and doing what God has for us to do. The other important part, it says, don't be unwise, but we should understand what the will of the Lord is. Now, understanding what the will of the Lord is another very important part for every believer, because we're not supposed to live our lives based on our whims, our feelings, our emotions, what we want to do. We're supposed to live our lives based on the will of the Lord. And so while you're thinking about the goals and things that you wanted to get done in 2021, also spend some time praying about what the will of the Lord is. Now, this is something that believers should do constantly from now through the rest of your life. Finding out, what is your will, Lord? What is it that you want me to be doing right now? What do you want me to focus on? What direction do you want me to go? We want to allow the Lord to tell us that, to answer that question, and to send us in the right direction. The Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 3 something that picks up from that point. So let's turn there to Proverbs chapter 3. I have a couple more points available for you. Again, if you can tell me where it is. Is it in the Old Testament? Is it in the New Testament? Say it out loud. 1, 2, 3. Old Testament. All right. I hope you have 4 points on the board. Proverbs is in the Old Testament, really close to halfway mark in the Old Testament. I want you to go over there to Proverbs chapter 3. If you can turn, tap, swipe over there. We want to find out and know what the will of the Lord is. How do you know what the will of the Lord is? You ask him. Some of his will is written in his word. Some of his will that he has for all of us as believers is written in his word. And that's what we want to get to know. We can find out his will there. But we can also find out his specific will for you, for me, by praying, spending time with him, asking him, and he gives us answers. So you can find out what God has for you specifically. There are some things that he has for all believers, all Christians to do. And there are some things that he has just for you to do or just for me to do. And we have to find that out from him. He wants to tell us. He wants us to know. It's not like he's going to make it difficult for us to find out. We just have to spend some time asking him and then listening and doing what it is that he tells us to do. All right, real quick, Proverbs chapter 3. Let's look at verse number 6. This is very important. Verse number 6 says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path." So we're supposed to acknowledge the Lord in all of our ways. So in everything that we're doing, we should be acknowledging him. If we're picking a school for college, if we're picking a subject to write a paper, if we're trying to figure out what job we should go into, if we're trying to figure out what job to work during the summer, all these questions and choices that we get to make, we should be acknowledging the Lord and asking what direction he wants for us to go. It's a great way to live your life. And when you do what God asks for you to do, you never make a mistake. Come on now. Verse number 7 says, "Be not wise in thine own eyes, fear the Lord, depart from evil." Don't do what you think is smart just because you think it's smart. If you're wise in your own eyes, that doesn't mean that you're really wise. Sometimes I've made decisions because everything I knew at the time said that would be the best decision. And I went in that direction because I didn't acknowledge the Lord. And I got smacked in the face with circumstances or things that I didn't expect, that I didn't know those things were even out there. I had no idea those things, could be an issue for me, but I was wise in my eyes. It seemed like it makes sense. I ran these thoughts through my mind, and, it seemed like it was perfectly planned and, would have been a great idea, but that was wise in my eyes. And I should have taken extra step in saying, you know what, Lord, this is what I think. This is what I see. What is it that you have for me? What is your will concerning me and concerning this? And the Lord could have showed me, he could have said, don't do that. The Lord might have said, don't do that because of this. The Lord may have said, hey, just do this. I don't know. But we would never know if we don't ask him what his will is. So we're not supposed to be wise in our eyes, but we're supposed to fear, reverence, respect the Lord, honor him, and ask him what it is that he wants us to do, how he wants to direct us. And the Bible tells us that he will direct our paths in verse number 6. That's so important, man. That is such a great way for you to live. And I want to leave you with this. Don't let the rest of this year go just because it's getting close to the end. There is a little bit more that you can squeeze out. Maybe you've been doing good this year. Maybe you've accomplished goals, and there are some other things that you can get done this year. Maybe you had several goals and the year just got taken away from you because all different types of things have happened this year. There have been tragedies that happened this year. There have been unexpected good things that happened this year. Years and times, days can go by like a whirlwind, but listen, you have 4 more weeks. You have 4 more weeks to move forward. 4 weeks to get some things done. 4 weeks to check things off your list. If you can't remember things that you had on your list at the beginning of the year, or if you achieved everything that you wanted to achieve, write some new goals right now. 2 or 3 different goals that you think you could knock out. Like, let's say it's a goal that may take 6 weeks, something that might take a little bit longer than a month. Put it down and put your energy and your effort into getting it done. You might have decided that you wanted to spend more time in prayer, that you wanted to read the Bible more, that you wanted to wake up earlier or start running, or I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do. Do it now. All right? It's not too late. There might just be December goals that you can focus on and push through. And remember, you have 2 weeks that you can really focus on these things that you don't have to focus on school. All right, let me know in the comments, what do you think is something that you can work on? Did you get your goals done this year, or did you fall a little bit behind? Another thing I need you to let me know in the comments is, do we need to keep making these videos? Because in January, the second Sunday in January, which is January 9th, 2022, we're going back to our live youth service over at Burks Elementary. So that will be at 10:30 every Sunday starting January 9th, 2022. For now, we'll continue to have our videos, but I need to know, do we need to have them in the new year, or do we just switch to having a live service? Don't forget, leave it in the comments. Don't let me down. If you don't want it, you don't have to say anything. If you're not going to watch, whatever, don't say anything, or you can say something. I hope you got your 4 points. I hope you're getting ready for a great Christmas time and a good end of the year. I think that's all I have for you. That's my part. So tag, you're it.